I know we haven't talked about it in a while, or certain details in a while, but I want to watch the little Joel video, and I want to talk about some of this stuff. It's a Matt tweet that says people get fired for publicly stating that these guys are the bad guys. One second. Lower the volume a little. For all those asking why there's no education in Gaza, oops, we had a missile fall on them. That sucks. Oh, too bad. That's how you'll not be engineers anymore. So hypothetically, what if you died? Just hypothetically, of course. It would be so funny. You know, it would be so funny if you walked into a bomb. That would be so funny. How is it that you anyone thinks that the IDF are the good guys? How? I just don't understand how. I just don't. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Most moral army. Clueless. Most moral army. Ah. 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 Stop with the fake news. Guys, he caught me. I paid this IDF member to be racist on TikTok. I got caught. Sorry. Yeah. I also paid all the other ones. Even the ones I don't know about. I did it as well. Yeah. Yeah. It's me. I'm the problem. Anyways,
Wallen is
let's watch the little Joel video on this.
Philosophy and law professor at Rutgers University, and recently he wrote a very interesting article called Proportionality, Psychic Harm, and the Day After. The article is about the conflict between Israel and Palestine, about how we should decide which Israeli actions against Palestine are proportional. Now, I'm not an ethicist, and I'm not trying to imply I know more about philosophy than Wallen does, but the funniest thing about political philosophy, as far as I'm concerned, is that just anyone's allowed to do it. You literally cannot legally prevent me from doing this, and I think that's pretty dope. Wallen's paper is very odd. I think his argument has some pretty enormous problems, and I thought, you know what? Let's just go through it bit by bit. And with that, let's get started. So Wallen begins his paper by establishing a kind of moral conundrum. See, on October 7th, Hamas killed 1,200 Israelis. Israel then proceeded to occupy Gaza with the stated aim to take Hamas down. In this effort, by the time that Wallen wrote this paper, the IDF had already killed 12,000 mostly non-combatant Palestinians. And Wallen supposes that as many as 30,000 might be killed before Hamas is finally defeated. And that is in a best-case scenario that assumes that Israel tries to restrict civilian deaths as much as possible. Meanwhile, as Wallen writes,
it is hard to see how Hamas could cause more than a few thousand deaths in the foreseeable future.
So, isn't that an issue? Doesn't that mean that Israel is acting disproportionately, causing much more harm than Hamas has caused, or is in fact capable of causing? As he writes,
deaths to deaths, Israel's war is grotesquely disproportionate.
But Wallen looks at this case, compelling as it might seem, and says, don't be too hasty now, because you're not factoring in one really important thing: psychic harm. He writes,
deaths are not all that matter. Psychic harm matters too. Hamas has shown that it is undeterrable. Thus, if Hamas remains in power, it seems likely that it is only a matter of time until it attacks again. Living with that terror is a significant tax on the souls of Israelis, and this should count in the proportionality balance.
So there we have it. Wallen wants to argue in this paper that the harm caused by Israel could be proportional to the harm caused by Hamas when you factor in the emotional and psychological damage that Hamas inflicts on Israelis. Okay then, let's see if he sticks the landing. The first thing Wallen wants to do is establish the nature of the harm that Hamas is doing to Israel, why that psychic harm should be taken seriously. He writes,
The fear an Israeli experiences need not be that one will likely be killed. The fear need only be a source of ongoing significant trauma based in the thought that a substantial group of people just a few miles away are plotting and building the capacity to carry out a brutal attack that could target anyone in the country and that will likely kill thousands.
So already, I think we're off to a pretty rough start here. Like, okay, I agree with some of his logic. Even though it's extremely unlikely that any given Israeli will be killed by Hamas attack, Hamas did cause many Israelis to be afraid. There's really no denying that. And making someone afraid is somewhat harmful to them. People don't generally enjoy experiencing fear. Still, this is a
Why is this like presupposing that the Palestinians don't also experience psychic damage and psychic harm, and that they only experience people dying? What? Huh? I'm sorry, what?
hard pill to swallow, isn't it? Wallen means to tell me here that the fear experienced by Israelis is so great that it makes killing like 30,000 Palestinians a proportional response. Okay, whose fear? Like, are all the Israelis equally afraid? How afraid are they exactly? Are they able to carry out conversations, go to work? Or are they all just screaming all the time because of the
Guys, I'm so scared. I'm going to go kill 30,000 people. Dude, like Israel took just a playbook out of the US cop. Guys, I had to kill that minority, okay? Because I was afraid for my life. I was afraid. I was so scared. He was existing around me. He was existing around me, and that was really scary.
unbelievably low chance they'll be killed by some future Hamas attack. These questions may seem in poor taste, but we're comparing this stuff to killing, right? We need to get our math straight. And that's another subtle red flag here. Why is this hypothetical math so convenient? The fear Israelis have is potentially proportionate to their Palestinian killings? That just seems downright unlikely to me. How does Wallen come to the conclusion that this fear might be the same amount of harm as 30,000 deaths and not 1,000 deaths or 200,000 deaths? Maybe Israel is being overly mild in its reaction. Who knows? None of this is a particular problem for Wallen, though, because when your entire moral calculus is based on some abstract and hard to pin down thing like the fear an entire nation experiences, you can kind of come to whatever conclusion you want. I mean, the claim that Israeli fear is equally harmful to 30,000 killings seems preposterous to me, but how exactly can I argue that position? It's completely vibes-based. At any rate, the thing about Wallen's argument is that it ripens. When you first hear it, you think, well, that doesn't sound quite right, but then it just kind of gets worse and worse as you come to bigger and bigger problems with it. Let's go to the next paragraph, where Wallen continues to elaborate on the possible proportionality of Israel's response.
There are roughly 7 million Jews living in Israel now, most of whom seem to feel, based on my own informal discussions with Israelis, that living with Hamas operating on its border is intolerable.
Now, let's just say that Wallen is correct here. The majority of Israelis would describe the present situation as intolerable. It's not like Wallen has real proof for this claim, but we'll allow him the assumption. In that case, I think we have to figure out what we mean by intolerable. What is the nature of this intolerability, and what should it mean to us? That may seem like an odd question, but let me take a step back for a second. Wallen says that Israelis find living near Hamas intolerably frightening and traumatic, and that this psychic harm is why the IDF's actions in Gaza may be proportional. But given the fact that Wallen correctly thinks most of these 30,000 Palestinians will be non-combatants, people completely unrelated to the terror attacks, it only makes sense to ask a question. What if the shoe was on the other foot? What if the only way Israel could destroy Hamas was to sacrifice 30,000 innocent Israeli lives? Well, in that case, I suspect that living next to Hamas would suddenly become quite tolerable to Israelis, that at the very least they would find it a lot more tolerable than killing 30,000 of their own people. I don't have objective proof for that claim, of course, but it seems quite obvious to me, and I'd be genuinely surprised if anyone disagreed with it. I mean, Hamas killing 1,200 Israelis was the traumatic event that started all this, so it's hard to imagine that people would see the killing of an additional 29,000 as an equal harm. But that's weird, right? Like, what's the difference here? In either case, Hamas's actions would be the same amount of terrifying, right? And in either case, 30,000 innocent people would be lost. Yet now, these events don't seem proportional to each other. At least they probably wouldn't seem proportional to most Israelis. So what's going on here? Well, it's obvious, right? Wallen acts like the enacting of psychic harm and the taking of human life can be compared so easily to each other. 7 million scared Israelis, 30,000 dead Palestinians, I guess that makes sense. But no, that doesn't work because these proportions are biased, based on an inconsistent moral calculus. To put it bluntly, the only reason the actions of Israel could appear proportional, the only way that Israeli fear and trauma could be worth so many lives, is if you don't care that much about Palestinian death. Okay, at this point, the paper.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how far up your head has to be in your asshole to think that somebody else's life is less valuable than you being stressed. Shit is like crazy. Actually crazy. This guy is intolerable to watch. Oh, well, just say so. If you wanted to, just say so, man. Don't worry. I got you, dog. You don't have to watch anymore. Big Karen energy? Yeah. Yeah. The chatter caused you stress. Nuking him was acceptable. Yeah. 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 It's really insane to watch them try and grasp straws. To grasp at fucking straws on why them killing all of these people is actually acceptable. I don't know about you guys, but I am not going to be convinced, okay, that many people deserve to die. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to watch with you guys was something I wanted to watch with you guys yesterday, but I didn't get a chance to. This was at the ICJ accusation of Israel committing genocide. And I never got a chance to watch it. Could I get like show of hands? Ones if you've seen this, twos if you haven't seen it. It's titled South African lawyer's incredible speech accusing Israel of genocide at the ICJ. Okay, so it's like a 50-50 in here. I've only seen clips. Not all of it. Okay, let's go. Let's see it.
Is not required to determine that the only Madam President and distinguished members of the court, it is a privilege to appear before the court on behalf of South Africa. I will address Israel's genocidal intent. At this stage, the court is not required to determine that the only inference to be drawn from the available evidence is genocidal, to order provisional measures, as that is to decide the merits. Rather, the assessment of the existence of an intent to destroy could be made by the court only at the stage of the examination of the merits. That some of the alleged acts may also amount to atrocities other than genocide does not exclude the finding of plausible acts of genocide. Madam President, South Africa is not alone in drawing attention to Israel's genocidal rhetoric against Palestinians in Gaza. 15 United Nations special rapporteurs
Good call, Yedek.
and 21 members of the United Nations working groups have warned that what is happening in Gaza reflects a genocide in the making and an overt intent to destroy the Palestinian people under occupation. Israel has a genocidal intent against the Palestinians in Gaza. That is evident from the way in which Israel's military attack is being conducted, which has been described by Ms. Hassim SC. It is systematic in its character and form. The mass displacement of the population of Gaza, headed into areas where they continue to be killed, and the deliberate creation of conditions that, quote, lead to a slow death, unquote. There is also the clear pattern of conduct, the targeting of family homes and civilian infrastructure, laying waste to vast areas of Gaza, and the bombing, shelling, and sniping of men, women, and children where they stand, the destruction of the health infrastructure, and lack of access to humanitarian assistance. So much so that as we stand today, 1% of the Palestinian population in Gaza has been systematically decimated since 7 October. These two elements alone are capable of evidencing Israel's genocidal intent in relation to the whole or part of the Palestinian population in Gaza. However, third, there is an extraordinary feature in this case, that Israel's political leaders, military commanders, and persons holding official positions have systematically and in explicit terms declared their genocidal intent. And these statements are then repeated by soldiers on the ground in Gaza as they engage in the destruction of Palestinians and the physical infrastructure of Gaza. We show this third element next. Israel's special genocidal intent is rooted in the belief that, in fact, the enemy is not just the military wing of Hamas, or indeed Hamas generally, but is embedded in the fabric of Palestinian life in Gaza. On 7 October, in a televised address, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared war on Gaza, and I quote, "Israel had started clearing out the communities that have been infiltrated by terrorists." And he warned of an unprecedented price to be paid by the enemy. There are more than 2.3 million Palestinians in Gaza. Israel is the occupying power in control of Gaza. It controls entry, exit, and the internal movements of inside Gaza. And Prime Minister, Mr. Netanyahu exercises overall command over the Israeli Defense Force and, in turn, the Palestinians in Gaza. Prime Minister Netanyahu, in his address to the Israeli forces on 28 October 2023, preparing for the invasion of Gaza, urged the soldiers to remember what Amalek has done to you. This refers to the biblical command by God to Saul for the retaliatory destruction of an entire group of people known as the Amalekites, put to death men and women, children and infants, cattle and sheep, camels and donkeys. The genocidal invocation to Amalek was anything but idle. It was repeated by Mr. Netanyahu in a letter to the Israeli Armed Forces on 3 November 2023. Madam President, let the Prime Minister's words speak for themselves.
Has done to you, says our Holy Bible, and we do remember, and we are fighting our brave troops and combatants who are now in Gaza or around Gaza. And
the Deputy Speaker of the Knesset, Israel's parliament, has called for the erasure of the Gaza Strip from the face of the earth. The Defense Force agrees. On 9 October, the Defense Minister, Yoav Gallant, gave a situation update to the army, where he said that as Israel was imposing a complete siege on Gaza, there would be no electricity, no food, no water, no fuel. Everything would be closed because Israel is fighting human animals. Speaking to troops on the Gaza border, he instructed them that he has released all the restraints and that Gaza won't return to what it was before. We will eliminate everything. We will reach all places. Eliminate everything. Reach all places without any restraints.
It's weird to me that there are people who think Israel isn't committing a genocide, when if you literally play back the words, like literally you're just playing footage of officials in Israel being actively genocidal, and people don't care. Like, let's ignore the IDF members. They're rogue operators. Let's ignore the average Israeli. Okay, we're gonna ignore all these people. Okay, because I'm sure if you came to the U.S., you could find a bunch of racist, bigoted people if you looked hard enough. Well, actually, not if you looked hard enough. There's like probably 50% chance. Just go to the South. Okay, what about the government? Okay, how is it that almost every single person sitting in a government position in Israel has said at least one actively genocidal statement about Palestine, and people just fucking ignore it. Because I'm not asking anyone to listen to me. I'm saying, hey, man, go listen to Ben Gvir talk about anything related to Gaza. Go listen to Bibi say anything about Gaza. Like, the people that are in power who dictate what Israel does have explicitly said they want to wipe it off the face of the earth. In their defense, they acted like what Netanyahu and the president said was nothing more than locker room talk. Omega lol. Omega dance. Omega dance. That has the same vibe as was it Reagan or was it Nixon? Probably both. Saying the N-word on like recordings, on old recordings and shit. And like saying very explicitly racist shit. What was it? What was the quote? I don't even remember. No. Not. It was Reagan? Was it Reagan? Okay. Reagan. Can you imagine? I'm not saying this about you, Sleepy. I'm saying like the people who defend Netanyahu and say like that was locker room talk, like blah 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 blah. Can you imagine saying that this was locker room talk? Richard Nixon. Sorry. Reagan says, quote, "Last night I tell you to watch that thing on television as I did." Yeah, Nixon interjected. Reagan forged ahead with his complaint, quote, "To see those monkeys from those African countries, damn them, they're still uncomfortable wearing shoes." And then Nixon gave out a huge laugh. Like, oh no, it's just locker room talk. It's like, dude, okay. Like, I'm willing to ignore a lot of locker room talk. Like, damn, you see that shorty's pussy? That shit was fat. It's like, okay. Sure. Why not, I guess. This is just being racist. It's like, I don't understand. This is just racist. Spokesperson of the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs the other day said this about South Africa's case. I don't know if you saw it. Israeli Military Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Okay, he wrote, "Today we were witness to one of the greatest shows of hypocrisy in history, compounded by a series of false and baseless claims. South Africa, which is functioning as the legal arm of the Hamas terrorist organization, utterly distorted the reality in Gaza following the October 7th massacre and completely ignored the fact that Hamas terrorists infiltrated Israel, murdered, executed, massacred, raped, and abducted Israeli citizens simply because they were Israelis in an attempt to carry out genocide." Like I said yesterday, okay, the Uno reverse card is crazy. To claim that Gazans are trying to genocide Israelis. Sir, they don't have the means to do that. Sir, you don't let them leave. What is it? 3 6 nautical miles out, if a fisherman tries to go any further than that to catch bigger fish, you fucking kill them. South Africa seeks to allow Hamas to return to commit the war crimes against humanity and sexual crimes they committed repeatedly on October 7th, as its leaders have stated. When would you guys listen, guys? Okay, listen. Here's the thing, okay? When Israel decides to do an internal investigation on all the IDF members that have raped Palestinian women, I will take this criticism seriously. Okay? Did Hamas members commit rape or violent acts? Yeah. No shit. We're not under any delusion, but you're not allowed to pretend like what they've done is this monstrous crime that no one in Israel has ever done, ever. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Hamas's representatives in the court, the South African lawyers, are also ignoring the fact that Hamas uses the civilian population in Gaza as human shields and operates from within hospitals, schools, UN shelters, mosques, and churches with the intention of endangering the lives of the residents of the Gaza Strip. 136 hostages are being held in Hamas captivity, denied access to Red Cross representatives and medical care. The State of Israel will continue to protect its citizens in accordance with international law while distinguishing between Hamas terrorists and the civilian population, and we will do anything in our power to release all the hostages and eliminate the Hamas terrorist organization, a racist and anti-Semitic organization that calls in its convention for the destruction of the State of Israel and the murder of Jews. Do we have have I been reading the wrong international law? Does Israel have a different book of international laws or what? Because last time I checked, you're not allowed to target hospitals or medical personnel or press. And they've admitted to doing it multiple times. Even if, to be clear, even if a terrorist was in that medical vehicle, you still, under international law, do not have authority to bomb that medical plaza or building or school or any of those things. You're not allowed to do that, man. I don't know what to say. You can't. You're not allowed to. Or kill journalists or medical aides or whatever. Yeah. Because even if I believe Israel, okay, the officials of Israel, and I'm like, oh, they really are trying, to limit casualties, and they're just trying to target Hamas. Let's just pretend like we're idiots for 2 seconds. It doesn't change the fact that they're breaking international law trying to do that. Also, I'm going to say something. The thing that radicalized me into the position that they are definitely committing a genocide is just looking at the West Bank. If all you care about is Hamas and you actually have a lot of respect for the Palestinian people and you want to coexist and everything, then why do you allow settlers to attack Palestinians? Why, when a settler kills a Palestinian, The IDF members just stand there and watch. Why is that? Excuse me. Huh? Huh? And also, why do you hand out thousands of assault rifles to settler terrorists? Yep. Is there actually a figure of how many Hamas operatives Israel has killed? I'd be interested to show the numbers. Last time I checked, there were a couple raids that were like, they said that they killed 20 to 30 Hamas operatives. The problem is that I think close to half of all of the deaths in Palestine have been children. That casualty rate, even if we pretend like we have 2 brain cells and we believe everything Israel says, okay? That is an unacceptable casualty rate. Unacceptable casualty rate. The craziest thing online that I saw, I don't know how many people saw this. I think the craziest thing I saw online was 2 people were arguing on Twitter, and one of the people says, yeah, but the Palestinians have a right to try and free themselves as people that are occupied. Within international law, Palestinians have this right, just like Israel has a right to defend itself, right? And the other person said, yeah, but they're not allowed to fucking kill people while they're doing it. They're not allowed to bomb Israel. And I think the original poster replied, would you think that it was unacceptable if the Jewish people during the Holocaust used IEDs to try and escape from their captors? And the person said, yeah. They said, yes. You have to be a perfect victim. And if you ever fight back ever, you aren't allowed to have freedom. And I don't know why this is so complicated of a topic, okay? Palestinians don't deserve to die because Hamas members have killed innocents. You don't have the authority to wipe out Gaza because Hamas operatives killed 1,000 Israelis. That doesn't give you the right to do that, man. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Also, all of the human shield stuff is bullshit, just so you guys know. Abby Martin breaks it down really well. If you guys want to look into it, anyone here who is interested in seeing more, the human shield thing it's just fake. It's literally just fake. I never thought the universe of, I think people shouldn't die, would be controversial. Oh, this is the best counter to human shield because we're all human shields apparently. Rachel Corrie's family brings a civil lawsuit over human shield death in Gaza. The family of American activist Rachel Corrie, who was killed by an Israeli army bulldozer in Gaza 7 years ago, is to bring a civil lawsuit over her death against the Israeli Defense Ministry. The case, which begins on March 10th in Haifa, northern Israel, is seen by her parents as an opportunity to put on the public record the events that led to their daughter's death in March 2023. 4 key witnesses, three Britons and an American who were at the scene in Rafah when Corrie was killed, will give evidence, according to the family lawyer Hussein Abu Hussein. The 4 were all with the International Solidarity Movement, the activist group to which Corey belonged. They have since been denied entry into Israel, and the group's offices in Ramallah have been raided several times in recent weeks by the Israeli military. Now, under apparent U.S. pressure, the Israeli government has agreed to allow them entry so that they can testify. Corey's parents, Cindy and Craig, will also fly to Israel for the hearing. A Palestinian doctor from Gaza, Ahmed Abu Nakira, who treated Corey after she was injured and later confirmed her death, has not been given permission by the Israeli authorities to leave Gaza to attend. Abu Hussein, a leading human rights lawyer in Israel, said that there was evidence from witnesses that soldiers saw Corey at the scene with other activists well before the incident and could have arrested or removed her from the area before there was any risk of her being killed. After her death, the military began an investigation, but unfortunately, as is in most of these cases, it found the activity of the army was legal and there was no intentional killing. Also, I said 2023 by accident. I meant 2003. Excuse me. Apologies. My brain glazed. Quote, "We would like the court to decide her killing was due to wrongdoing or was intentional. If the Israeli state is found responsible, the family will press for damages." Corey, who was born in Olympia, Washington, traveled to Gaza to act as a human shield at a moment of intense conflict between the Israeli military and Palestinians. On the day she died, when she was 23, she was dressed in a fluorescent orange vest and was trying to stop the demolition of a Palestinian home. She was crushed under a military Caterpillar bulldozer, and she died shortly after. A month after her death, the Israeli military said an investigation had determined its troops were not to blame and said the driver of the bulldozer had not seen her and did not intentionally run her over. Instead, it accused her and the International Solidarity Movement of behavior that was, quote, illegal, irresponsible, and dangerous. Army reported, obtained by The Guardian in April 2003, said she was struck as she stood behind a mound of earth that was created by an engineering vehicle operating in the area, and she was hidden from the view of the vehicle operator who continued with his work. Corey was struck by dirt and a slab of concrete, resulting in her death. He described, witnesses present a strikingly different version of events. He described how she first knelt in the path of an approaching bulldozer and then stood as it reached her. She climbed on a mound of earth, and the crowd nearby shouted at the bulldozer to stop. He said the bulldozer pushed her down and drove over her. They pushed Rachel first beneath the scoop, then beneath the blade, and continued till her body was beneath the cockpit. They waited over her for a few seconds before reversing. They reversed with the blade pressed down so it scraped over her body a second time. Every second, I believed they would stop, but they never did. While she was in the Palestinian territories, Corey wrote vividly about her experiences. Her diaries were later turned into a play. Quote, "My name is Rachel Corey," which is toured internationally, including to Israel and the West Bank. You see, the problem is that she was a human shield, so she deserved to die. That guy had to run her over because she was trying to protect some Palestinians who probably anyways were going to become Hamas members eventually. Nice. The thing about the human shield narrative is that the entire purpose behind using another human as a shield is the implicit understanding that the other person is not going to shoot them to get through you. Brother, the school shooting example is the best example for this. Can you imagine the riots that would occur if, like, the SWAT team pulled up to an active shooter in a school? There's one active shooter in the school, and there's like 500 kids in the school. And they were like, yeah, just bomb the school. We have to get the terrorists, so just the shooter, just bomb the school. We'll just blow up the whole school. It's fine. Well, you don't understand. The shooter was using the students as hostages. The shooter was using them as human shields. Like, guys, they're evil. That would not be acceptable. That would not be acceptable in the slightest bit. Even a little. If there are hostages and it is a school or it is a hospital or anything like that, anything that is protected within like Geneva Convention and international law, your goal should be to save as many lives as possible. If someone is holding your fucking friend at gunpoint, you don't just take a gun and then shoot just blindly in front of you. And you're like, guys, I did it. I killed the shooter. Yeah, you also killed the person that they were holding hostage. I could have done that. Spader, thank you for the tier 1. But it's different, Denims. The school has Christians and nice people in it. Oh, fuck, you're right. Shit. Fuck. You got me, guys. Dude, can I say something, guys? I love these people. I love these people so much, guys. These people. Palestinians also never saw men and women as equal. They think women are slaves. Oh, so we should just kill all of them. Yeah. Do you hear yourself? So does the rest of the world. I don't know if you've heard of this thing called misogyny. It's everywhere. You can literally go click on a Matt Walsh video, any video, like throw a random dart. Chances are he's probably going to, at some point in there, say women should be subservient to their husbands. Sir. 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 DJ Dub, thank you for the prime. At the time of the Nakba, Palestine was a more progressive than most of Europe. The US and the UK destroyed the Middle East. You have to understand that historically, the Middle East and I would say ancient China, that these two regions contributed more to society than any other regions. Okay? The shit that's happening in the Middle East, that's America's fault. The golden age of Islam? Yeah. Like, my favorite thing though is when people, oh my God, guys, the Roman sculpture profile picture users on Twitter when they're like, white people invented everything. It's like, dude, 60% of your population fucking died because you were throwing literal feces buckets in the middle of the road. Almost everything that Western Europe has was made probably in ancient China. Okay. All right. Laughs in Aztec plumbing. Yeah. I'm not really touching South America in this conversation just because South America was very self-contained. And so there wasn't much trading or communication done with the rest of the continents because Asia and Europe and Africa are just so close. So obviously there's lots and lots and lots of things that were made and created in South America. God. It's just crazy to me. It's just crazy. So weird, dude. So crazy. We are not even close to done with this speech. White people actually invented everything denims, like paper. Oh wait, no, sorry, that was China. I mean gunpowder. Wait, no, sorry, that was China as well. I mean printing. Wait, that was also still China. Okay, it was actually the compass. Wait, fuck, it was China again. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 See, Europe was bogged down by this thing called Christianity. And that wasn't that great. It wasn't good. It really was not great. Yeah. Yeah. White people created math. Yeah, algebra is from the Middle East. I think the concept of zero was made in India. And those two things alone, algebra and the concept of zero, huge, massive even. Also, what type of white invention is called algebra? Uh-huh, that's what I thought. Yeah, okay. Uh-huh. Yeah, okay. Okay. Al Jazeera, algebra. Wait a minute. Try doing math in Roman numerals. Can you imagine? A lot of indigenous civilizations also independently developed the concept of zero. Oh, yeah, of course. Like I said earlier, I'm not really touching the Americas, like South America, or even honestly North America or Central America, just because they didn't really get a lot of trade or communication with the other continents. But a lot of these things were developed independently. Paper was developed independently in a lot of different regions with different methods. Right? Like Egyptians made like papyrus or some shit. I know indigenous cultures in South America also created paper. I don't remember how or what they used. You know, I mean, you have to also remember, basically every single culture with the zero communication to other cultures came up with language and then came up with writing and then created a way to scribe everything. Like almost every single one. If anything, white people invented plagiarism. Dude, the British invented plagiarism. FR, they did. They totally did, okay? All right, I wanted to talk about something. Can I share something with you guys? Can I share something with you? Uh, uh, did you guys see this post? Honestly, I don't give a fuck about this boycott. I'm gonna keep buying Starbucks LMAO. Yeah, no, you're not deleting this and going private. I'm gonna need an explanation. Uh, What's amazing about people like this is their inability to read the room, a genocide that we all feel helpless to stop using what little buying power we have to try and make a point. And she looked around the room and decided to not to keep this to herself. So here's the thing, man. Here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing, okay? Um, if you still go to Starbucks, okay? Whatever. Why share that? That's like the equivalent of walking into a room filled with people and saying, I jerk off specifically only to tentacle porn. It's like, why are you sharing? Why are you sharing this? Why? Why are you sharing this with everyone else? That's so weird. That's so weird. That's so weird that you are sharing this. You don't have to. You didn't have to do that. Starbucks isn't even that good. It's not. It's not. It's not good. It's not good. Main character syndrome. Also, if you do still consume Starbucks, I don't. Dude, the optics are not good, man. Like, I don't understand. The optics are not good. To get online and be like, yeah, this genocide where thousands of people are dying or being maimed, entire bloodlines are being wiped out. I really just don't care about boycotting it. Huh? Huh? Okay. Good for you. And just in case anyone doesn't know, what exactly or why exactly people are boycotting Starbucks. The TLDR is that I'll just read this article. International coffee chain Starbucks has faced a series of setbacks in the market, in the past year amid boycotts and strikes, alongside a nearly $11 billion decline in its market value that occurred at the end of 2023. The company recently faced backlash after a communications fiasco around the conflict between Israelis and Palestinians. It was drawn into the conversation after Starbucks Workers United, the union representing many of its baristas, expressed solidarity with Palestinians in a tweet. The union's message and Starbucks' response, taking legal action against the union, led to boycotts from customers. TLDR, Starbucks union tweeted out, "We stand with Palestinians." Starbucks thought it would be a good idea to take legal action against them for that. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Yeah. Yeah. But yes. Yep. Punishing people for speaking out against genocide. you might not be giving money directly to Israel or anything like that, but like, dude, fuck you. What? Are you kidding me? Your coffee is not good enough to be doing this. Also, don't you feel like a little bit of an asshole? I don't know. It's just the live tweeting it that's concerning. Okay? Because I can almost understand people who are like, well, I don't... Getting the Starbucks is so fucking convenient. Whatever. Sure. Whatever. Okay, I'm not... But telling other people... Why? 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 It's like, okay, I'm done with the analogies. As a palate cleanser, as a Twitter palate cleanser, did you guys see this? From Elon Musk. Exactly. He tweets it out almost once a day. He averages once a day tweeting exactly. But the real reason I'm showing it to you guys, Elon be like,
Exactly. 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 Exactly.
oh. Oh God. Oh. God. Sorry, wait 1 second. There's some idiot in chat that I need to laugh about, okay, with you guys. All right. Why isn't this loading? I have to pee so bad, guys. I'm gonna go pee. I'm gonna go piss, girl. I'll leave this speech playing.
The theme of destruction of human animals was reiterated by an Israeli army coordinator of government activities in the territories on 9 October 2023, who, in an address to Hamas and the residents of Gaza, stated that Hamas has become ISIS and that the citizens of Gaza are celebrating instead of being horrified. He concluded that human animals are dealt with accordingly. Israel has imposed a total blockade on Gaza. No electricity, no water, just damage. You wanted hell, you will get hell. The language of systematic dehumanization is evident here. Human animals, both Hamas and civilians, are condemned. Within the Israeli cabinet, this is also a widely held view. The Minister of Energy and Infrastructure, Israel Katz, called for the denial of water and fuel, as this is what will happen to a people of children killers and slaughterers. This admits of no ambiguity.
Mary, come here,
It
you
means to
cute little
create
cat.
conditions of death of the Palestinian people in Gaza. To die a slow death because of starvation and dehydration, or to die quickly because of a bomb attack or snipers, but to die nevertheless. In fact, Heritage Minister Amichai Eliyahu said that Israel must find ways for Gazans that are more painful than death. It is no answer to say that neither are in command of the army. They are ministers in the Israeli government. They vote in the Knesset and are in a position to shape state policy. The intent to destroy Gaza has been nurtured at the highest levels of state, as President Isaac Herzog has joined the ranks of those signing bombs destined for Gaza. Having previously noted that the entire population in Gaza is responsible and that this rhetoric about civilians not aware, not involved is absolutely not true, we will fight until we break their backbone. Later attempts by the president and others to neutralize this speech have not altered the sting of his words, which was to tar all Palestinians as responsible for the actions of Hamas. Nor, as I will show below, has it affected how state policy is understood within government. The Minister of National Security repeated the president's statements that Hamas and civilians are responsible in equal measure. On 10 November 2023, in a televised interview, he stated that when we say that Hamas should be destroyed, it also means those who celebrate, those who support, and those who hand out candy. They are all terrorists, and they should also be destroyed. These are orders to destroy and to maim what cannot be destroyed. These statements are not open to neutral interpretations or after-the-fact rationalizations and reinterpretations by Israel. The statements were made by persons in command of the state. They communicated state policy. It is simple. If the statements were not intended, they would not have been made. The genocidal intent behind these statements is not ambiguous to the Israeli soldiers on the ground. Indeed, it is directing their actions and objectives. On 7 December 2023, Israeli soldiers proved that they understood the Prime Minister's message to remember what the Amalek has done to you as genocidal. They were recorded by journalists dancing and singing. We know our motto, there are no uninvolved, that they obey one commandment, to wipe off the seed of Amalek. The Prime Minister's invocation of Amalek is being used by soldiers to justify the killing of civilians, including children. These are the soldiers repeating the inciting words of their Prime Minister.
I'm coming to occupy Gaza and beat Hezbollah. I stick by one mitzvah to wipe off the seed of Amalek. There are no uninvolved civilians. Ah, that's good. The people that are in charge of deciding how many Palestinians die think that there is no such thing as a civilian. Here's the thing, right? I personally think that if Israel gave a single fuck about the PR war, they would fire these people immediately. That would convince me. That would at least help tilt the favor in their direction. If they said, no, really, genuinely, we don't want to kill Palestinians, anyone who is posting online or anything like that, anything close to genocidal, you will be removed from the IDF. And they actually did start like arresting some of these people for subordinates or something, I would think, okay, maybe Israel is trying a little. Whereas the best that they can do right now is, oh, well, those people are, they're just, listen, okay, they don't speak for us, okay? The people that are in our army, they don't speak for us. That's just boys being boys. You know, when I get together with the homies, you know what my favorite thing to do is? Talk about how much I want to kill another group of people. Yeah. That's personally. Exactly. The Disney Corporation's PR department could manage this war so much better. Dude, FR. No, Disney knows what the fuck they're doing, bro. Okay? Disney knows. All right? That's why they fired that one lady. What was her name? The lady who went on to destroy her career. She was in The Mandalorian, and now she works for the Daily Wire making shitty movies. What was her name? Gina Carano, whatever the fuck her name is. Y'all know the woman. Dude. Brother. Literally all they said was, we don't give a fuck about you being homophobic or transphobic or any of that shit. You just have to stop posting about it. Okay? Because it's making us look bad, all right? We really don't want to have to cast someone different. Please, can you just stop? It's just like, stop. And then she kept doing it. And they were like, no, seriously, stop. And then she kept doing it. And they were like, listen, this is the last warning. And then we have to fire you. And then she did it again. And then they fired her. And she's like, the woke mob has come after me. It's like, I'm sorry, let me get this straight. The woke mob came after you and you are so oppressed because you couldn't put pronoun jokes in your bio? Okay. Okay. Because I understand losing your job or continuing to protest for Palestinians, right? Because you're trying to help people who are literally losing their lives, losing their families, losing their homes, don't have access to clean water, food, medicine, anything. Getting fired for that. Now that is an honorable discharge, okay, bro? But let me get this straight. You're the hill you had to die on, what you absolutely had to do was post beep, bop, boop. In your Twitter bio to make fun of trans people.